My amazing partner. Keith Urban is a famous singer. When he was 57 years old, he sat in a music studio in Nashville and talked about love. Not the kind of love in songs, but real love that can break your heart and make you stronger. For many years, Keith was a country music star. He had blue eyes, wore leather boots, and sang beautiful songs. He married Nicole Kidman, a famous movie actress. They looked perfect together, like a fairy tale. But being famous is hard. Even when Keith was on stage with thousands of people cheering, he sometimes felt lonely. He said, "Fame isn't freedom, it's just a louder kind of loneliness." Growing up. Keith was born in New Zealand but grew up in a small town in Australia called Caboolture. His family wasn't rich. His dad sold musical instruments, and his mom loved country music. When Keith was only 4 years old, he started playing a small guitar called a ukulele. By age 6, he got his first real guitar. He practiced every single day until his fingers hurt. School was hard for Keith. Other kids teased him because he loved American cowboy music, but music made him happy. He said, "Music was the only language I didn't mess up." When Keith was 12, his dad did something very brave. He borrowed money to buy Keith a really good guitar. His dad said, "Make it count." Keith never forgot that. By age 15, Keith was playing in bars and clubs. He was too young to drink alcohol, but he sang for grown-ups every night. Moving to Nashville. When Keith grew up, he moved to Nashville, Tennessee. That's where all the country music stars live, but it was really hard at first. He was 24 years old and had no money. He slept in cheap apartments and sometimes had to sell his guitars to pay for food. But he never stopped playing music. After 10 years of trying, Keith finally became famous. His songs played on the radio. People loved his music. He won big awards. Meeting Nicole. In 2005, Keith met Nicole Kidman at a party. She was a beautiful and famous actress. They fell in love right away. They got married in 2006 in Sydney, Australia. It was like a dream wedding with candles and music. They were so happy together. Keith and Nicole had 2 daughters, Sunday Rose and Faith Margaret. They lived in Nashville and tried to be a normal family, even though they were famous. Hard times. But being married when you're both famous is really hard. Keith had to travel all the time for concerts. Nicole had to go to different countries to make movies. They missed each other a lot. Keith also had a problem with drinking too much alcohol. Just 4 months after getting married, he had to go to a special hospital to get help. Nicole stayed with him and helped him get better. Keith said, "She saved my life by believing in me." Things change. After many years together, Keith and Nicole started to grow apart. They still loved each other, but they were changing into different people. They both worked all the time. Keith was always traveling for concerts. Nicole was always making movies in faraway places. They talked on the phone but didn't see each other much. They didn't fight or yell. They just quietly became more like friends than husband and wife. The truth. Keith finally told the truth. He said, "I loved her more than I knew how to, but sometimes love changes. It doesn't die, it just becomes different." Nicole said, "He will always be my family." They both decided that it was okay for love to change. They still care about each other. They still take care of their daughters together, but they're not together the same way anymore. Finding peace. Now Keith is older and wiser. He doesn't try to be perfect anymore. He just tries to be honest. He writes new songs about what he's learned. He sings about forgiveness, about growing up, and about being okay with change. Keith said, I used to think love was about holding on tight. Now I know it's about knowing when to let go and still wishing the other person happiness. The real message. Keith's story isn't sad. It's about learning and growing. He learned that being famous doesn't make you happy. Real love is about being honest. It's okay when things change. You can still care about someone even if you're not together anymore. At his concerts now, Keith sings a simple song. It says, "I've broken apart just to learn how to heal. I've lost what I loved just to love it again. And if the world forgets my name, I'll still be here where I belong." When he sings these words, everyone in the audience understands. They know that life is hard sometimes, but you can get through it. The end of the story. Keith Urban is still making music. He still plays his guitar. He's still a good dad to his daughters. He's not trying to be a superstar anymore. He's just trying to be himself. And when people ask him what all of it means, the fame, the love, the hard times, he says, it's all just music. The mistakes and the good times are all part of the same song. You just have to keep playing. Keith learned that you don't have to be perfect. You just have to be real. And that's the most important lesson of all.